Russia is no longer the pariah it once was. At least that seems to be clear from the first meeting that was held between the United States and Russia in Saudi Arabia. So let's first get you the highlights. US and Russia met in Saudi Arabia to talk the way forward for the war in Ukraine. But Ukraine was not present. In fact, what Donald Trump said about Ukraine and President Zelenskyy has confused many allies and has even angered Zelenskyy. Let's get into the details now. This meeting was something that was arranged after President Trump dialed President Putin last week. Now, Saudi Arabia was the location. Saudi Arabia was where this meeting took place, and the meeting was one where US and Russia actually talked about improving bilateral relationships. Now remember, these are two post-Cold War era big giant economies, and Russia in fact was a country that nobody really wanted to do any business with, especially after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. Russia is already under many sanctions, but President Trump seems keen to now make Russia a key business and bilateral partner. And this is how the meeting went. Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State for President Trump, he talked about the path ahead, not just for Ukraine, but also more on the bilateral side, and he was keen to improve relations with Russia. Russia's Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, has in fact said that not only did they listen, but they actually heard each other out, and both sides have said that the meeting was very positive.
In order to bring an end to any conflict, there has to be concessions made by all sides.
We explained to our interlocutors today that we very carefully noted that the President Trump on several occasions had been the first of all Western leaders who said that dragging Ukraine into NATO was one of the main reasons of what is going on. It was to be on of Biden's and his administration's biggest mistakes, and Trump was the president, then he would not allow this to happen.
Saudi Arabia is trying to make its mark in the global world order and wants to make itself and its presence felt. These are the three players who were present in Riyadh during that meeting. Interestingly, Europe, that has huge stakes in what happens in Ukraine, was not invited to this meeting, even though Marco Rubio did dial many European leaders after the meeting to brief them on what happened. President Zelenskyy, who is the president of Ukraine, was not a part of this meeting. Ukraine did not have any seat at this table. And that's something that Ukraine is, of course, not happy with. President Zelenskyy has made his displeasure known. He's also said that Ukraine will not be part of any agreement that any third party reaches about Ukraine and the war in Ukraine without Ukraine being present. Seems natural, doesn't it? But that's not how President Trump sees it. In fact, he was asked about this, that Ukraine is not very happy that it's not got a seat at this table during these discussions, and this is what he had to say.
And I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their side.
In the new way that President Trump does things, friends can easily become enemies and foes can become allies. And that's why Europe is finding itself on the wrong side of President Trump. Remember what J.D. Vance did at the Munich Security Conference? He in fact met with the AfD leader but did not meet with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Germany is going to see an election on Sunday. In the first few days of his presidency, the allies, the closest allies of the US and also neighbors, Mexico and Canada, were in the firing line. This is how the Trump presidency has laid it out. Those who thought that they were long-term allies of the US are having to quickly recalibrate their decisions and also their response to new missiles that are being thrown at them from President Trump. And that's also how this context of the Russian meeting should be looked at, especially given that Russia seems to have had a chance in this meeting to put forth its demands, and there really doesn't seem too much of a pushback that's happening on it currently. For more such videos, subscribe to SNG News and make sure you like our videos and share them as well.